Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today I'm building the Soldier from Team Fortress 2. If you enjoy the build, hey, maybe check out my Patreon too, if you want. So what do we want from this build? Well, the Soldier's big claim to fame is his rocket launcher, which he can fire at his feet for a rocket jump that throws him higher, further, and faster than he could go normally. We can also just fire the rockets at enemies like a sensible person, of course, but that's less fun. And we'll need to pick up some secondary gear, like a parachute, some heavy boots, and banners to rally nearby teammates. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be using the standard point array. If you want to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure your strength, wisdom, and charisma are high enough to multiclass. Starting over the 14 in strength, rocket launchers are not light, and we lug one around all the time. Dexterity's only 10, we're a little clumsy and have to rely on blowing ourselves up to get to places fast, so we'll make Constitution 15 to survive those blasts. We can dump intelligence since we liked the idea of the internal combustion engine so much we decided to apply it to our feet. And wisdom is 12 pretty much just because we need it for the multiclass. Personally, I think it should be 8 as well since, he thinks rocket jumping is a good idea, but I am sacrificing a little bit of character flavor to get the mechanical flavor of making the rocket jump actually work. Plus, if nothing else, he did intuit that they shouldn't teleport bread anymore, even if it was a sort of right answer, wrong equation type deal. Won't be going higher than the minimum we need for the multiclass, though. Then we'll finish off with the 13 in Charisma. Soldier fits the typical drill sergeant parody mold, so we need those yelling skills. We'll go Variant Human for +1 to our Constitution and Wisdom, making them 16 and 13 respectively. Survival will be our skill, so we can parachute behind enemy lines, living and fighting in the wilderness long after the war ends. And we'll take Human Determination, because blowing yourself up to get somewhere is just such a painfully human thing to do. That bumps our strength to 15 and lets us get advantage on one attack, ability check, or save per rest. Like the rest of the TF2 squad, we're a mercenary, so we get athletics and land vehicle proficiencies, but we'll switch out persuasion for intimidation, for more of that drill sergeant vibe. We're going to start off as a cleric, because believe it or not, the soldier is actually an ordained priest in some places. He's also a lawyer, weirdly enough, so we'll take proficiency in religion and history. Thanks to his passion for fighting for his country, whether or not they actually want him to, we'll join the Zeal domain, which gives us proficiency with heavy armor and martial weapons. As a priest of Zeal, we can use our bonus action to make a weapon attack after taking the attack action, sort of like a pseudo extra attack. We can only do so a number of times per day equal to our wisdom modifier though, so it won't be happening super often. For spells, we get Searing and Thunderous Smite from our domain, which both add extra damage to a weapon attack along with some extra effect. Lingering fire damage per turn from Searing Smite, and knocking the enemy prone and pushing them back from Thunderous Smite. There really aren't many cleric spells we're interested in, so we'll grab Light, Mending, and Spare the Dying for our cantrips, and we can use Command to bark orders with our drill sergeant voice. Shield of Faith uses our sheer bravado to protect ourselves by adding 2 to our AC, and Guiding Bolt can be an early rocket launcher, a spell attack that deals radiant damage on a hit and gives our teammates advantage on attacks against the target. At second level, we can channel Divinity once per rest, choosing between Turn Undead and the Zeal domain's Consuming Fervor. Turn Undead uses our action to try to scare away all undead within 30 feet. Turning them for a minute if they fail a wisdom save, and we can use Consuming Fervor whenever we roll thunder or fire damage. Instead of rolling the dice, we just take the maximum possible result. With second level spells, we get a better rocket launcher with Shatter. We fire at a point, causing an explosion in a 10-foot radius that deals thunder damage on a failed Constitution save. It's extra effective on inorganic enemies since they have disadvantage on the save, so it's great for a few rounds of man vs. machine. There's also Magic Weapon, which adds a +1 modifier to our weapon's attack and damage rolls. But we need the slots for our rockets, so don't worry too much about that. If we're going to be blowing ourselves up, we need a lot of HP, so we'll take the Tough Feat to get an extra 2 HP per level. Then we can grab Thaumaturgy to project our voice across a battlefield or training yard. 5th level clerics can automatically destroy any undead CR 1/2 or lower who fail their save against our turn undead. And our Zeal domain gives us 1 more rocket launcher with Fireball. This will be our go-to rocket for damage, though not for rocket jumping. We can fire a rocket that explodes in a 20-foot radius, dealing 8d6 fire damage on a failed dex save. And of course, since it's fire damage, we can max it out with Consuming Fervor. We also get Haste, which isn't really Soldier's thing, but at least we can boost an ally's speed with some disciplinary action. Just make sure not to get distracted and drop the spell, or you'll leave your teammate a sitting duck. There's also Beacon of Hope, raising the banner of our battalion's backup, to give any number of creatures within 30 feet advantage on wisdom and death saves, as well as letting them recover the maximum amount from any healing they get. So really it's kind of a mix of the battalion's backup and the Conqueror. At 6th level, we can channel Divinity twice per rest, and we get the main thing we wanted from Zeal Cleric, Resounding Strike. Whenever we deal thunder damage to a creature that's large or smaller, we can push them 10 feet. So now that we have that, we can really start investing in our rocket jump as a storm sorcerer. We learn Primordial, and we have tempestuous magic. Whenever we cast a spell using a spell slot, we can use our bonus action to fly up to 10 feet without provoking opportunity attacks. The spell we really want is Thunder Wave. We blast a 15-foot cube with thunder, dealing damage and pushing creatures 10 feet on a failed con save. Now normally this doesn't include us, but since the spell originates from us, we can technically angle it any way we want, and include ourselves in the area of effect. We just have to be on one of the cube's faces. So we can have it originate from our feet and point upwards to throw us into the air. It's thunder damage, of course, so Resounding Strike adds 10 more feet of pushing, then Tempestuous Magic lets us fly 10 more feet. Now this does require a little bit of cooperation from your DM. Most pushing effects are phrased as pushed away from you, so they'll need to let you push yourself. And also, ask if you can intentionally fail a save. Our constitution is decently high, but if we don't make an attempt to resist, then I don't see why we couldn't intentionally fail the save, or at the very least get disadvantage on it. We can go 20 feet even if we pass the save, but it would be better if we could go 30. We'll grab Featherfall as well for the base jumper parachute to arrest our falls. And for cantrips, Message and Prestidigitation are good, and Thunderclap and Booming Blade work well with Resounding Strike since they're both thunder damage. Booming Blade in particular works very well with it, since it deals a second burst of thunder damage if the creature moves on their turn, for a second push. At second level we get a Font of Magic, a pool of sorcery points that we can exchange for spell slots and vice versa. And although we do have heavy armor proficiency, Soldier doesn't wear armor, so we'll pick up Mage Armor to be a little bit safer. For metamagics, we'll take Quicken Spell, so we can rocket jump as a bonus action in case we need to do that and dash in the same round. And Heighten Spell can give a target of our rockets disadvantage on their save. Then we'll pick up Shatter, so we can cast it with our Charisma instead of with our Wisdom, since we're rounding off Charisma to 14 and Strength to 16 with our next ASI. We'll also pick up Firebolt, for a good reliable ranged option that doesn't use up spell slots. Now, if your DM isn't on board with pushing yourself with Thunder Wave, or you want to do things a sensible way for some reason, there's also Thunder Step as a replacement rocket jump. We teleport up to 90 feet, and leave an explosion behind us in the space we teleported from, dealing thunder damage to every creature within 10 feet of that space who fails a Constitution save, half on a success. That's less fun than blowing ourselves up though, so at 6th level, Heart of the Storm makes us better at doing so. We get the Gunboats, boots that reduce the damage we take from rocket jumping by giving us resistance to thunder and lightning damage. And we can jump farther as well. When we start to cast a spell that deals lightning or thunder damage, we can deal half our sorcerer level in our choice of lightning or thunder damage to creatures of our choice within 10 feet. We can choose to deal thunder damage to ourselves with this, so a Thunder Wave pushes us 10 feet, plus another 10 from Resounding Strike, that triggers Heart of the Storm to deal more thunder damage, so Resounding Strike pushes us another 10 feet, then we can fly 10 feet with Tempestuous Magic as a bonus action for a 40-foot rocket jump. 6th level Storm Sorcerers can also influence the weather a little bit, stopping the rain in an area around us or altering wind direction. And we can grab Fireball for the same reason we double dipped Shatter, so we can cast it with our superior Charisma instead of our lesser Wisdom. Soldier is very wholeheartedly ride or die for the things he believes in, so it seems fitting to finish this off as a Paladin. Lay on Hands can keep us healthy by healing ourselves with a touch, and Divine Sense can tell us where any Celestials, Fiends, or Undead are within 60 feet. Might be good for a Halloween event, but not much else. Paladins get a fighting style at 2nd level. I think Mariner is probably our best option, giving us +1 to our AC and both a climbing and swimming speed if we aren't using a shield or wearing heavy armor. If you do decide to go the heavy armor route instead of using mage armor, try dueling instead to get an extra +2 to your shovel damage. We can dump spell slots into Divine Smite to deal extra radiant damage with our shovel, but we actually like using our spell slots for spells. Hitting one creature with 4d8 radiant damage with a 3rd level slot doesn't have quite the same punch as 8d6 from a fireball. And there really aren't many Paladin spells we're interested in, but we do at least have access to Searing and Thunderous Smites again, so we can use our Charisma for them instead of Wisdom. We're immune to disease at 3rd level, and Soldier feels like the kind of guy who views war as glorious and honorable, so we'll take the Oath of Glory. We get Guiding Bolt and Heroism as our oath spells, and multiclassing Cleric and Paladin is a little bit interesting when it comes to Channel Divinity, because we don't actually get any additional uses of our Channel Divinity, still just the 2 per rest, but we can use those 2 for either our Cleric options or our Paladin options. So from Paladin, we get Peerless Athlete, which lets us use our bonus action to get advantage on all acrobatics and athletics checks for 10 minutes. During that time, we can also push, drag, and carry twice as much weight and can jump 10 feet higher and further than we normally could. Then with Inspiring Smite, we can use our bonus action immediately after using our Divine Smite to inspire our allies. We get 2d8 plus our Paladin level and temporary HP, and can divide that out however we choose among creatures within 30 feet of us. Of course, we can also just feel super proud of how awesome we are and give them all to ourselves. We can bump Dexterity to 12 at 4th level, making our Mage Armor AC 15 with Mariner. Then at 5th level we get extra attack, so we don't have to rely on Priest of Zeal to get a second attack. And we get 2nd level spells. Our Oath gives us Magic Weapon, which still does the same as when we got it from the Zeal domain, and Enhance Ability gives us advantage on checks using the ability score of our choice. If we pick one of the physical stats, we also get an extra bonus. With Strength, we get double our usual carrying capacity to push the payload faster. Constitution gives us an extra 2d6 HP to tank some more damage on the front lines, and Dexterity lets us avoid taking damage from falls of 20 feet or less, so we can rocket jump just a little bit more safely. At 6th level, our battalion's backup gives us an Aura of Protection, raising our banner and adding our charisma bonus to all saves that we and allies within 10 feet of us make. And we raise the Conqueror's banner at 7th level, as our Aura of Alacrity increases our movement speed by 10 feet, as well as that of our allies who start with their turns within 5 feet of us. Our capstone is the 8th level of Paladin for one last ASI, and will bump our charisma for better spells and better saves. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. So right off the bat, we can rocket jump, propelling ourselves 30 feet as either an action or as a bonus action without using our movement, meaning we can move, dash, and rocket jump as a bonus action for over 100 feet of movement in one turn. And if we just do it as an action, we can go 40 feet instead of 30, if we use our bonus action for Tempestuous Magic. That does run into one of our major issues: we're blowing ourselves up to get places. We do resist thunder damage, so we only take half, but that can add up over time, and it makes it annoying to hold concentration, so we likely won't be casting haste anytime soon. It also requires our DM to be on board with our plan, both in allowing us to push ourselves and to voluntarily fail our constitution saves. Of course, we can eliminate both problems by just using Thunder Step as our rocket jump, but that lacks style points. Other than that, we're great at battlefield control with our AoE spells and the force movement from Resounding Strike. It goes great with cantrips like Thunderclap and Booming Blade. Thunderclap gives us breathing room by pushing away every creature within 5 feet, and Booming Blade gets a ton of extra damage thanks to its delayed trigger. And it's great with the free thunder damage from Heart of the Storm as well. I'm not a huge fan of how much redundancy there is. We double dipped a lot of spells just so we can cast them with a better modifier, but I think my biggest issue with the build is just that Soldier doesn't really feel like a Sorcerer to me. Zeal Cleric and Glory Paladin definitely work for him, but Storm Sorcerer feels a little bit out of place. The mechanics are there. I really do like how good it makes the Thunderwave rocket jump, but I don't like having to choose between mechanics and flavor, and I feel like there's a bit of that going on with this one.
So we're fine, as long as nobody teleports any bread.
Question.
What's your question, soldier?
I teleported bread.
What?
You told me to.
How much?
I have done nothing but teleport bread for 3 days.
There! There, have you been sending it?
Thank you for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed the build. No poll this week, as the next video is a special one for my 3rd anniversary, so look forward to that. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below, and they could show up in a future poll. Leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more, and if you want to support what I'm doing here, you can check the description for the link to my Patreon for access to the Discord channel, early access to future builds, and exclusive Patreon content. Thanks again for watching. I will see y'all later.